Well, good afternoon, YouTube. It's afternoon here. We're working on a 2019 GT Premium today. What we're doing with it is we're going to install a DSS aluminum drive shaft. And I'm going to go step by step with you. And we're going to basically first, obviously, lay off the ground, which I already have it. Done it a few times already. And first thing after that, we're going to do the exhaust. We're going to take the exhaust off, and I'll show you kind of underneath the car. For me, it's easy. I've already done the exhaust on the car, so I did an axle back flow master if you saw that video, and I've already put an X pipe in. And being that I have the X pipe in, it makes things a lot easier. I've already got 3 cuts. I don't have to drag out the exhaust by one piece. It's going to come off in pieces, and I'll just piece it back together very easily. So we're going to take the exhaust off, and then we'll cut back in and take the drive shaft off. I've already looked at it. It looks pretty easy. I've put drive shafts on my aluminum drive shaft on my Fox body, and then the 95 that's behind me. So I know it's different, but basically the same stuff, man. All right, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. So yeah, so all I had to do here was basically take off the X pipe and loosen up the back so it could drop a little bit. And the drive shaft only has 6, looks like 10 millimeter bolts in the back. We can put it neutral and rotate it. And the front on the 10R80, it's just a 4-bolt flange. They provide those bolts. I'll show you in a second, but gosh, just pretty straightforward on a 10R80, man. You don't have all these flanges like I think the manual has, but and then you got to take off this I think they call this a carrier brace that's in there. You won't need that anymore. That'll be out of here because it's 2 pieces. So be back in a minute with the drive shaft off. Okay, I'm a little dirty. I want to make a quick note before I pull the drive shaft out. So let's go underneath the car. So, back half of the car, the flange to the rear end is 10 millimeter. If I can grab one. There's not much to them. That's it, 10 millimeter. Spin the drive shaft in neutral. Pull them all out, 6. Incidentally, the drive shaft will not come out until that middle section. I think that's the carrier bearing holder. It's got to come out, then the whole thing should flop out of here like a donut. And then this is where it's a little tricky. If you got an impact gun, they're only like 70 pounds. So the small one I have, and I believe in the rigid because they have a lifetime warranty. These things are bad. The little one over there won't do the job. So I took the big one. I put the adapter. I have the 1/2 inch, but I just used the adapter on the 3/8 drive. And I had, these going here like so. These will be sitting right here. So I snuck the rigid in there, the impact, through this little hole here. I don't know if I can see it, but I snuck it in here. But I don't know if you guys can see that. I hope I did. Pick up the phone. So I snuck it in there on that bolt, and I just touched it with my hand. It came right out. So that's how you sneak it in between the exhaust right here. You'd have the resonator here, or the X pipe. Take the X pipe off, and then this will sneak in between and you just rotate the drive shaft while it's in neutral, and there you go. Anyway, just want to make a quick note on that, and I'll be back here in a minute. Okay, so just for good measure, I got the drive shaft out now, and you can see the difference between the two. Obviously, factory one's black and skinny, the other one's nice and polished aluminum, and it feels a little bit lighter. It's hard to tell by hand, but you know, this side here is nice and light. You know, this side here is the heavy side. Oh yeah, even on that, it's more. This is definitely heavier. This one's a lighter, but this is the heavy side of the drive shaft. So once you took out that middle piece, this, you know, you get the ends off, and then you take this piece off. You have to pull it on the back side where the rear end, pull it, and it'll just flop right out. Just, you know, be careful, man, when you pull it out, it doesn't hit you. You get your two hands on it. I wear gloves. I suggest you wear gloves, and then just take your time. And I'll be putting that in probably tomorrow. I have time today. And just for good measure, I bring out a Fox body T5 one. Kind of put it next to it. Got a couple of those laying around. So this is that's for a T5 7995 Mustang with a T5 8.8. So you can see there's a little bit of a difference there. So, you know, it's almost the same size. You know, the drive shaft itself, man, is almost, I would say the S550 one with the automatic is maybe about an inch longer. That's it, but otherwise it's the same. So those, so the front of the drive shaft is there, the rear of the drive shaft there. It looks different though. This looks like the front because of the way see, the 95 has this 4-bolt deal in the rear. That looks like the opposite. It's like the opposite. S550 front, 7995 rear. Kind of crazy, but it's like it's changed. Anyway, hope you're enjoying the video. We're going to install this probably tomorrow, so we'll get to it. Thanks. So this is the old drive shaft. You can see that there's a hump on the back when you install it, and this hump is also in on the new drive shaft. So let me come back over here and let me see if I can show you under the car. You got to put the back in. So you got to put the back in first. So I've got it installed. So the back goes in first, and then you come up here and you put in the front by just moving this back and forth. There's a bolt off the transmission that you have to kind of wiggle around. Now, what's important to note is that I had to take off, or you'll have to take off if it's a 10-speed, maybe even a, what is it, manual, what's those, M82 or M1282, whatever that thing in the transmission manual. Ford put a clamp, an exhaust clamp here for that purpose and maybe beyond. So you got to take this off to slide the drive shaft up here because the back has to go in first. So let me reduce this down here. I don't know. So yeah, so they're gonna reduce it. So you got to put the back in, and then you got the front. You finagle it in. You got to take this exhaust clamp off and pull this pipe off, the catalytic converter end pipe first. Then you can slide the drive shaft in and then up, and then you can bolt it in the back. Put a couple of bolts in the back. Use the blue Loctite. Blue Loctite, very important. And then you can put a bolt in the front, and then the fronts get torqued down to 70 pounds And then the rears get torqued down to 57 pounds. Now I did the fronts on my torque wrench, but the backs I couldn't fit, so I'm going to be honest, I snugged them up. I have a long 3/8 ratchet that I put on pretty tight there, so ain't gonna hurt nothing. They just need to be tight, man. Just make sure this thing spins at what's the red line in these cars? 7,800, 8,000. I think these are balanced to 9,000 RPMs, so you should be good. But anyway, it's installed, and now I'm just gonna bolt up the exhaust, and that'll be it.